A powerfully creative and disciplined artist, Michael Jackson is a distinctive vocalist, an imaginative and original songwriter with a gift for turning his own experiences into powerful lyrics, and a dancer almost without peer. Keeping control over his own career, he ruled pop and rhythm and blues music charts throughout the 1980s. Jackson's private life has proven just as fascinating as his music and dance moves. The lead singer of the beloved family group the Jackson 5, Michael Jackson, was in his early 20s when Thriller catapulted him into the ranks of the rich and famous. He has never matched the success of Thriller, and in the 1990s his career suffered serious reversals, the most damaging of which may have been the accusations of child abuse leveled against the singer in 1993. By the late 1990s, the star of the self-proclaimed king of pop seemed to have dimmed, especially after 2003, when he was arrested on a number of charges including 10 counts of child molestation. But no one who remembered the explosion of his talent during the previous decade could doubt either his overall impact as a performer or his ability to once again seize the limelight. Jackson was born on August 29, 1958, in the steel manufacturing center of Gary, Indiana, outside of Chicago. His father Joseph had played guitar in a local group called the Falcons. His mother Catherine was a country music enthusiast who instilled in her 8 children a love of singing. Joseph, very demanding and rumored by his children to be an abusive man, aimed to turn his 5 male children Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, Marlon, and Michael into musical stars. By 1964, before Michael's 6th birthday, he had formed them into the Jackson 5. The group played in local arenas and traveled throughout the Midwest performing before they were noticed. Attracting the attention of hit singer Gladys Knight and pianist Bobby Taylor, not Diana Ross as some have claimed, the Jackson 5 were signed in 1968 to the Motown label, whose roster of youthful black acts had reliably been generating hits for several years. Michael's exuberant vocals defined such catchy Jackson 5 hits as I Want You Back, The Love You Save, ABC, and I'll Be There, all of which hit number 1 in 1970. He released 3 albums for Motown as a solo artist, with singles such as Ben, Rockin' Robin, and Got to Be There reaching top chart levels. With Michael as lead vocalist and choreographer, the group toured extensively, giving audiences electrified shows that made the Jackson 5 more popular with each new show. Joseph Jackson and label founder, Berry Gordy, Jr., never saw eye to eye. Joseph always believed his sons could produce and write, but were limited by Motown's management. The Jacksons, minus Jermaine, left Motown after a dispute over artistic control and signed with CBS's Epic label in 1976. Motown sued and the Jackson 5 lost its name. The brothers, now known as the Jacksons, added to the group was youngest brother, Randy, went on to be successful on the Epic label with such hits as Blame It on the Boogie, Shake Your Body, and Heartbreak Hotel, all of which were written by various Jackson brothers. As the Jackson 5, the brothers appeared in their first TV special, Going Back to Indiana, an ABC network presentation that also starred comedians Bill Cosby and Tom Smothers. ABC also aired a Saturday morning animated series The Jackson 5, which featured the Jacksons singing voices. As the Jacksons, they performed in Las Vegas with their sisters Rebby, LaToya, and Janet. Incidentally, Janet in the 1990s would eclipse Michael in popularity, striking out as a solo artist. Michael sought to carve out a career independent of his siblings. Though he made solo albums as a child on the Motown label, it was on Epic that Michael became a superstar in his own right. He played the Scarecrow in the 1978 film The Wiz, opposite longtime friend Diana Ross in the role of Dorothy, and during the making of the film met music executive and producer Quincy Jones. Jones would become one of the architects of Jackson's grand successes, creating a light, sophisticated production style that effectively showcased Jackson's quiet yet intensely dramatic vocals. A musical eclectic since his jazz days in the early 1960s, Jones also encouraged Jackson to experiment with novel stylistic fusions. The first fruit of their efforts was Jackson's 1979 release Off the Wall, which mixed disco and ballad elements and spawned 4 top 10 singles. Jones also produced Thriller, the long-awaited follow-up to Off the Wall. After the release of the mild novelty song The Girl Is Mine, a duet with ex-Beatle Paul McCartney, as the first single, the album's sales built slowly. But with subsequent single releases, Jackson emerged spectacularly as a personality who could appeal to diverse audiences like no one else in American music had been able to for years. Beat It, featuring rock guitarist Eddie Van Halen, crossed over to attain popularity even among fans of heavy metal music. Billie Jean drew on Jackson's own experience of unjust paternity accusations. Both songs reached #1, and Billie Jean made him the first artist to be #1 on the pop single, pop album, RVEB single, and RVEB album charts simultaneously. Thriller went on to generate an unprecedented total of 7 top 10 singles. The album rose to top Billboard magazine's sales charts for 37 weeks, and at its peak was reported to be selling more than 500,000 copies every week. Inspired dance moves. At a glance. Born Michael Joseph Jackson on August 19, 1958, in Gary, Indiana. Son of Joseph, a heavy equipment operator and part-time musician, and Catherine, a sales clerk, maiden name Scrooge Jackson. Married Lisa Marie Presley, 1994, divorced 1996. Married Debbie Rowe, 1996, divorced 1999. Children, with Rowe, Prince Michael Jackson Jr. and Paris Michael Catherine, with unknown mother, Prince Michael Jackson II. In 1985, Jackson co-wrote the international famine relief single We Are the World, one of the biggest-selling singles of all time. It seemed that everything Jackson touched turned to gold or platinum. His videos for the Thriller album helped to put the music television channel, or MTV for short, on the map. His videos also showcased his dance moves that were still being imitated well into the 1990s. His most famous move, the moonwalk, became a dance craze. Jackson first displayed the moonwalk in his video for his song, Billie Jean. He also began wearing one glove that was covered with rhinestones. He was asked by Barbara Walters on the television show 2020 why he wore one glove. Jackson replied, "Cooler than two." Glove aside, many were impressed with Jackson's style and moves. Jane Fonda in Time magazine described his music as a fresh, original sound. The music is energetic, and it's sensual. You can dance to it, work out to it, make love to it, sing to it. It's hard to sit still too. Jackson could also count as fans of his dancing, such pros as Bob Fosse, Gene Kelly, and Fred Astaire, who was quoted in Time as saying, "My lord, he is a wonderful mover. He makes these moves up himself, and it is just great to watch. I don't know much more dancing he will take up, because singing and dancing at the same time is very difficult." But Michael is a dedicated artist. Jackson reunited with his brothers, including Jermaine, for a Motown 25 television special in 1983. Afterward, the Jacksons released another album, titled Victory, and then went on tour. Pepsi, who had signed Michael to a lucrative contract, decided to make a commercial with all the brothers performing. During production, an accident occurred and Michael's hair and scalp was badly burned, but he fully recovered. The tour was his swan song exit. After the end of the tour, Michael left the group and soon afterward, they disbanded. Growing popularity. His next album release, 1987's Bad, sold 22 million copies internationally, a disappointment only by the lofty standard Thriller had established. Bad included 5 #1 singles, I Just Can't Stop Loving You, Bad, The Way You Make Me Feel, Man in the Mirror, and Dirty Diana. Dangerous, released in 1991 with new producer Teddy Riley at the helm, likewise topped 20 million in total sales. Dangerous produced Remember the Time, that won RVEB's best single at the Grammys. The album also featured kid rap duo Criss Cross, rapper Heavy D, and Princess Stephanie of Monaco. Jackson continued to produce videos. As his popularity grew, he was able to premiere each video during primetime television and MTV. Most videos were short-form, that is, lasting the length of the songs, but some were long-form, which included dialogue, and some were mini-movies. His song Thriller began the tradition, and the video The Making of Michael Jackson's Thriller garnered sales in the millions. Most notable among the long-form videos were Bad, which also starred an unknown actor by the name of Wesley Snipes, Black or White, which featured Macaulay Culkin of Home Alone fame, and the infamous crotch-grabbing dance routine, and also Remember the Time, with comedian Eddie Murphy, basketball great Magic Johnson, and supermodel Iman. Remember the Time also featured Jackson's first on-screen romantic kiss, and one of the best choreographed dance routines of the 1990s. Jackson's songs Smooth Criminal and Leave Me Alone were featured in his film, Moonwalker. His other film, Captain EO, was shown at Disney World and Disneyland theme parks. Although he was not given credit, Michael Jackson's voice appeared on the animated television series The Simpsons. Personal life scrutinized. In the years following the release of Thriller, Jackson found himself subject to the isolation that artists in the top echelon of fame inevitably experience. A devout Jehovah's Witness, he adopted a disguise, and went door to door to promote the religion shortly after the album was released. But the pressures of stardom eventually made it impractical for him to continue his religious activities, and he renounced his membership in the sect in 1987 after his video Thriller was condemned by the group. A public perception of Jackson as a curious recluse began to take shape about this time. He was a constant subject of stories in the nation's tabloid press. Some such as the story that he slept in a levitating hyperbaric chamber for the purpose of extending his lifespan were planted by Jackson's own operatives as a way of garnering publicity. Jackson's skin seemed to become progressively lighter, leading to rumors that he was bleaching his skin in order to appear white. Jackson countered this rumor in a February 1993 interview with television talk show host Oprah Winfrey, claiming that he suffered from vitiligo, a skin disease. But public unease with the star increased markedly as a result of much more serious allegations that surfaced in August of that year. Jackson was accused of sexually molesting a 13-year-old boy at his Encino, California, compound, called Neverland. The singer had long enjoyed surrounding himself with. In September, his sister LaToya claimed that he had sometimes spent nights together with them in his bedroom. Jackson strongly denied any wrongdoing, maintaining that he was the victim of an extortion plot on the part of the father of the 13-year-old. The case was settled privately for an undisclosed sum in January of 1994, and charges were dropped, but it cost Jackson a lucrative endorsement contract with Pepsi-Cola. He has continued to deny the charges. Jackson's musical successes since the time of these allegations have been sporadic, but his personal life continued to provide surprises. In August of 1994 it was revealed that Jackson had married Lisa Marie Presley. In November of that year, Jackson married Debbie Rowe, a nurse who had reportedly been artificially inseminated, and was pregnant with the singer's child. A son, Prince Michael Jackson Jr., was born 1997, and the couple was graced with the birth of a daughter, Paris Michael Catherine, in April of 1998. The couple divorced in 1999, with Jackson receiving full custody of the children in the settlement. Jackson soon added another son, Prince Michael II, with an unknown woman. Jackson's public outings with his as quoted in Jet. Struggled to stay on top. Despite a $30 million marketing campaign, Jackson's 1995 release History, Past, Present, and Future book I fell short of expectations with its sales of 2 million units domestically, 12 million internationally. Controversies over the songs Scream and They Don't Care About Us, the latter contained an allegedly anti-Semitic lyric reference for which Jackson later apologized, and an award for song You Are Not Alone, did not keep the album from dropping out of the US top 10 within weeks of its release. A 1997 album, Blood on the Dance Floor, History in the Mix, fared even worse, with little marketing and domestic sales in the hundreds of thousands. It consisted largely of remixes by various hit producers of songs from the 1995 History release. Jackson seemed to be attempting to update his style to fit with the technology-driven musical trends of the 1990s. During the late 1990s, the singer was occupied with grandiose schemes to build entertainment complexes in such diverse locales as Poland, South Korea, Paris, and Detroit, where he joined with gambling magnate Don Barton to push for a proposed casino and amusement park. This effort fell through in Detroit, when the people voted no on their proposal to allow the two to bid for a casino license in August of 1998. His charitable foundation Heal the World was reported by People magazine to be cutting back on donations as Jackson's total income dropped from an estimated $65 million in 1989 to $20 million in 1997. Jackson continued to release records on Epic in the early 2000s, including Invincible in 2001 and Michael Jackson, The Ultimate Collection in 2003. While Invincible cost $30 million to make, it only sold 6 million copies worldwide by mid-2002. Though the record label spent $25 million to promote the record, Jackson believed they did not provide support in promoting the record and were trying to sabotage his career. As Jackson's musical career continued to become more irrelevant, his income also fell further. In the early 2000s, it was reported that he heavily borrowed against his assets to maintain his lifestyle,